I stand on the blood-stained battlefield. On one side are my loved ones, and on the other side is the enemy threatening to take everything from me. I must make a choice. Either surrender or take up arms and fight for those I love. Chapter 40. Author's Key. Oh. Skye woke up with a jolt as soon as she felt the soft mattress underneath her, and hands holding her. She began to hyperventilate when she looked at the familiar red and black colors across the room, then at Liam's face, whose voice seems muted at first as he spoke frantically. Slowly his voice began more audible to her senses. He was frantically calling her name, asking what was wrong. What happened, Liam? Skye asked as her breathing evened out and her vision focused along with her hearing senses. You were hyperventilating, Skye. You slept the entire way and I was just lying you on the bed and you began to hyperventilate before the bat even touched the mattress. What happened? Was it a nightmare or something? Liam asked, concerned, and Skye felt attracted to him because of this. He was so caring and she knew this was the real him. Behind the strong, rigid and scary mask he had placed, he was a caring person. Maybe for selective people, but caring nonetheless. Skye realized she had zoned out and looked at him. It wasn't a nightmare. I barely get any dream, you know, Skye said softly, and Liam believed her but still didn't let the matter slide. Then why did Carson do something to you? Liam asked abruptly as the nuts in his head began to work and Skye remembered all the things Carson did to her. Skye looked down at her lap as Liam sat beside her on the bed. Skye, please tell me what he did to you, Liam said and cupped Skye's cheeks, making her look at him. Liam's touch was soft and longing, not burning or rough like Carson's, but his question did bring back memories she was trying to suppress. A tear rolled down Skye's cheek as she looked into Liam's eyes. Liam, she began to say, but her voice cracked and she looked down as tears flowed from her eyes down her cheek. Liam quickly brought in for a hug, gently rocking her back and forth before laying down with her on top of him, sobbing into his chest as he gently stroked her hair, mumbling that he was sorry. After some time Skye stopped and Liam thought she had fallen asleep when she got up and sat across from him. He touched me, Liam, Skye said and covered her mouth with her hand to stop the sob, but continued. And if you didn't come, he would have raped me because in a twisted way he was in love with me. Skye finished and began sobbing again. Liam looked at her with pain. This was his fault. This was his entire fault. Skye, I'm sorry, Liam said, and Skye shook her head. It's not your fault. I'm just weak, she said and roughly wiped the tears. I don't care what happens next, but if he gets me, I'll kill myself before he even has a chance to try anything on me, Skye said, daringly, and Liam looked at her shocked and he reached for her, holding her close to him. Don't say that. I promise you, Skye. No matter what happens, you won't get you. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nelban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I won't let him come close to you again, especially for my doings, Liam said. Why did you do it anyway? Why did you kill his brother? Skye asked, and Liam stiffened. So Carson had told her his side of the story. Liam looked at Skye once, then back at the wall. It was quite a tough time for werewolves. Well, not only werewolves, but all the races. But werewolves mostly. We were practically being hunted like stray sheep. It wasn't pretty. My father was the royal of our court, while Carson's brother was the leader of the hunting group of the vampires. He slaughtered 18 werewolf infants. The oldest was 3 months old. When our court found out, the order was immediately ensued to exterminate him. That's where I came in. My dad leads the rally and I was the one who was forced to slaughter him. I hated my father for forcing me, and my mother even more for not saying a thing for me. Carson and I were more than friends. We were brothers. He helped us quite many times, but now I think of it, killing his brother was rightful justice. Blood for blood, Skye. The parents of those 18 infants needed closure, and I'm proud that I killed a murderer that day, for the sake of my people. But I am sorry, Skye, for all the things he did to you, Liam said, and Skye didn't say anything, though she understood his motives. Carson told me why you cared about me. He told me we are mates, Skye said, and Liam stiffened. Is it true? She questioned, looking at him, and Liam looked down, not saying anything, and his actions spoke everything. Why didn't you tell me that? Sky asked, and Liam leaned down and kissed her cheeks. I always hurt you, and I thought you wouldn't want to be with a monster like me. There were times where I wished we were something, but I didn't want to scare you more than you were. I couldn't bring myself to risk the little contact or relationship we had built. Besides, Sky, you can't tell someone they are meant to love you. That's not right. Liam whispered, and Sky felt her heart melt at his words. She felt butterflies in her stomach as she looked at him with tear-filled eyes. Liam felt his heart sank as he looked at Sky. He thought she was scared of him and was crying because she was mortified to have a relationship with him. Suddenly she reached up and brought his face closer to her, kissing his cheek. "Thank you so much," Sky whispered as she looked at him. "So you don't want to go home?" Liam asked as he felt like he was on cloud 9. "I'm home," Sky said. "The pack house." Liam asked again, wanting to be sure. "By your side," Sky answered, and Liam grinned happily. "But let's take it slow," Sky said, and Liam nodded and hugged her close to his body. When finally Sky began to feel more relaxed and quietly moved away from him and got up. Liam wanted to hold her for some more time, but he wasn't going to force her into anything she didn't want. Sky noticed she was still in the dress from earlier and began to feel disgusted as Liam looked at her intently. "Do you want some clothes?" Liam asked, noticing her look at the dress. "Yes, please, and a towel too," Sky said, still looking at the dress disgustingly. Liam nodded and got up, going to his closet, grabbing one of his dry-cleaned shirts which had shrunk in a size or 2 and were in to fit him. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You can wear mine, but I'll need you to get new pants. I'm pretty sure mine won't fit," he said, and Sky smiled, taking the shirt gladly from him as he grabbed a fresh towel, handing that to her. This was maybe the first casual conversation Sky was having with Liam, and she felt nice. She liked it and could get used to it. "Just place them in front of the bathroom door, and I'll grab them while changing," Sky said. "Sure," Liam replied and left the room. Not wasting another moment, Sky stripped out of the dress in the room, not caring that anyone could walk in on her, and then rushed to the bathroom, leaving the dress in a heap on the floor in the middle of the room. She quickly went to the bathroom, grabbing the shirt and towel. Enthusiasm, a smile made its way to her lips as her feet touched the cold tiles. She was going to have a long hot bath. Not the rushed ones she was forced to have in fear of Carson. She filled the bathtub with hot water and felt a delightful sensation go through her body as the water engulfed her. She didn't know how long she laid in the water, doing nothing, and she couldn't even explain how good it felt. After a long time, she began to do her usual bath procedure, which consisted of shampooing her hair and rubbing soap over her body. She practically rubbed her skin raw for the next 20 minutes or so until she drained the tub and wrapped a towel around her body. She made her way to the door and peeked out to see if there were any parts, and to her relief, Liam had kept his promise. There was also a sweater folded with a pair of blue denim jeans along with a pair of grey Uggs, which Sky gladly took. The weather was extremely cold, not to mention Christmas was only a few days away. She changed into the clothes Liam had given her, mostly smelling like him because of the shirt and sweater. Sky stretched her arms in the air as she made her way out of the bathroom. She felt free and alive as she opened the door and made her way down the steps. She didn't even remember when was the last time she had been out of a room alone without being scared. She felt like doing backflips. Sky walked around the pack house slowly, taking her time to examine everything as she made her way. The pack house was quiet until she started getting closer and closer to the dining room. Liam was leaning outside the door and smirked when he saw her. "I knew you'd come down sooner or later," he said as he came to her, and Sky shrugged. "Just enjoying the freedom," she said, and Liam smiled at her. "Come on. Everyone's is waiting for you at the breakfast." Sky nodded, and Liam gently held her hand and opened the dining room door. As soon as she entered, everyone stood up. "Why do they do that?" Sky whispered. "Out of respect. You're the Luna." "What's that?" Sky asked. "Since you're my mate, you have some authorities as me. So practically you can consider yourself as a female alpha of the pack," Liam said, and Sky looked at him wide. Don't you think that's too much of a responsibility? Sky asked nervously, and Liam just chuckled. Don't worry. It feels like it, but it's like you're just the parent of the entire pack. Believe me. Liam said, and Sky laughed a bit as she sat on one of the chairs. People peeked glances at them. Everyone had noticed that Liam had changed and for the best. Sky filled her plate with food and looked at Liam. How many members are there? Sky asked curiously. 1,500. Liam answered, and Sky chalked on her food. Liam patted her back and quickly filled a glass of water, handing it to her. 1,500. Sky questioned, shocked as she took deep breaths to control her breathing. 800 live with us, while the remaining are spread across. Most of them have families and prefer to live in separate houses, whereas there are 2 more pack houses on the property. Liam said, and Sky nodded. Liam, what did you tell my uncle and Jacob? Sky asked, and Liam looked at her. I messaged them from your dad's phone that you went on a field trip and there wouldn't be any mobile signals. Liam said, and Sky sighed. I'd like to talk to my uncle after breakfast. I'll make sure you do. Why don't you invite your uncle over to spend Christmas? Liam asked, and Sky looked at him. How will I answer him why I'm living here and why Dad is? Sky said, although she wanted to invite her uncle. Don't worry. I'll think of something. I want you to stay loose. Roam around the pack house. Get to know people. But if you want to go out, I want you to tell me first and I'll assign someone to go with you if I'm busy. Liam said, and Sky nodded. He was being so sweet to her. Thank you so much. Liam, Sky said, and gave him a side hug, and Liam kissed her cheek, causing her to blush. Rest of the breakfast went by quickly with her practically stuffing herself. After breakfast, she and Liam had excused themselves and had gone to his office, where they were currently in with a cell phone to Sky's ear. She could hear the ring going, and after what seemed like forever, she heard the person at the end spoke. Hello. Hi, Uncle, Sky said nervously. Sky, where are you and why are you calling me from this number? What happened to your phone? Her uncle exclaimed, and Sky shrugged. I broke it at the field trip trying to find signals. Sky said, hoping he would believe her. She heard her uncle chuckle at the other end, and Sky sighed with relief. So like you. Can't live a day without technology, huh? Her uncle said, and Sky laughed. You know me too well. She replied. So you're coming to Australia for Christmas? I can't wait to see you, baby girl. Her uncle said, and Sky smiled. Well, that's the reason I called you. I was wondering if you could come over for Christmas. I want you to meet someone, Sky said, and she could sense her uncle being overprotective. Her uncle asked and could already imagine him wiggling his eyebrows up. Say no more. I shall be there to meet the boy in 2 days. Her uncle said in a horrendously posh accent, and Sky laughed. Okay, see you then, Sky said, and ended the call, handing Liam back the cell phone. So he is coming in 2 days, Sky said, squealing happily, and Liam smiled. By the way, I need you to give me a list of all the members of the pack. Male, female and children, Sky said. While Liam asked curiously, it's Christmas soon. I need to get presents. You'll get presents for 1,500 people, Liam asked, and Sky shrugged. More or less, she replied, and Liam shook his head. I'll get you the list. Just take someone with you when you want to go shopping, but first I want you to meet someone who has been waiting very long to meet you, Liam said, and grabbed her hand, leading her out of the office and down a hallway. Towards a room. Whose room is it? Sky asked as he opened the door. The light of the room was off and sunshine was peeking through a cavity between the curtains. There was a small body huddled in the blankets on a castle-shaped bed. Liam went and opened the window, motioning Sky to come in as he made his way to the bed, lightly shaking the little fellow. Erna. Someone is here to meet you, Liam said, as the child stirred and Sky finally saw her. Sky went by Liam's side, waiting patiently for the little girl to wake up. After a few minutes, Anna's torso rose up, but her eyes remained closed as she rubbed them adorably with her knuckles. Bewig BW other, Anna asked, and Liam smiled. Look who's with me, Liam said, and Anna opened her eyes only for them to widen, as she squealed happily when she saw Sky. Sky, Anna exclaimed as she jumped out of bed in a cat-like movement and hugged Sky. Sky wrapped her arms around the girl and got up, whirling her around. IMW is SEDU. I missed you, to baby girl, Sky said, and Anna kissed Sky's cheek, resting her head on her shoulder. Do you want to go out for breakfast? Sky asked, and Anna nodded okay. I'll change you then, we'll go out, Sky said to Anna, then turned to Liam. The list please, Sky said, and he got up. Fine, I'm going. But first, he said playfully, then went to Sky's shoulder where Annabella's face was resting. He pointed at his cheek and Anna kissed him. Remember to take someone with you, Liam said, and her Dan, I will, as he left the two girls, smiling. Chapter 41. Author's P.O.V. Sky walked down the stairs without Annabella, who had fallen asleep again after exciting herself too much. Counseling her trip with Sky, she had managed to find bags containing her belongings back in Liam's room and luckily found her wallet. She could hear voices from the living room and went straight in. The living room was packed with people watching TV or goofing around. The atmosphere looked extremely casual. Most of them noticed her and turned to her, saying, Hey, how are you? Or sup? Sky just smiled at them. Can someone come to the mall with me? I need to go for Christmas shopping and Liam is sort of busy. Sky trailed off and a girl stood up. She was 5'10" and had a jet black hair that reached her waist. Betty was peeking from the collar of her white shirt, through which you could see her black bra. Her grunge attire looked out of season, but she didn't look muck-faced by the weather. Her red lips looking impressive, something Sky could never pull off. I'll go with you. I was leaving for Christmas shopping until this idiot tackled me to watch a movie, the girl said, and Sky chuckled at her, as the guy she was implying to raised his hands up in surrender. It was a good movie though, he said in his defense, and the girl rolled her eyes. And now I'm late for that. You're going to pack the present with me, the girl said, and the guy groaned, but before he could say anything she grabbed Sky's hand, walking her out. By the way, my name's Carl is Ia, and that was my mate, the girl said, and extended her hand, which Sky noticed was also tattooed. Sky, but you already knew that, Sky said, and shook her hand, and the girl chuckled. It's nice to have you back, Luna. I've heard a lot about you and was practically dying to meet you in person. Most of us have actually. We never got a chance to meet you, and then Carson attacked, the girl said, and trailed off. Sky's face had gone passive at the mention of Carson. I didn't mean to, Carla's ear begins to say, and Sky stopped her. There's nothing to be sorry about. You haven't said or done anything wrong. What happened just happened, and there's no denying it, Sky said with a fake smile. You're really strong. You know, we can tell you'll be a great Luna, Carla's ear said, and Sky smiled. They had reached the garage and Sky looked at her Acura. So for how many people you need to shop? Carla's ear asked, skipping behind her. Everyone, Sky replied, and Carla's ear looked at her baffled. 1,500 pack members, Carla's ear asked, and Sky nodded. It would be rude not to get them anything. Besides, I have the list, Sky said, taking out 3 pages containing pack info as Ear took them from her. The members were categorized as infants 14 years, children 15 years, 29 years young adults, 30 years onward adults for children, 6 young adults and 5 adults. How do you plan on managing this? Carla's ear said. Goodie bags for children, candies and stuffed toys. For young adults, I was thinking iPod, and for adults, I'm getting watches, Sky said. How are you going to pay for that? Carla's ear asked, and Sky smirked at her, stopping by her Acura. I can manage. Now hop in, Sky said, watching Carla's ear's expression as she looked at the pricey car. Damn, you're fine, Carla's ear mumbled, and Sky chuckled at that. It had been 8 straight hours, and now the car was filled with presents for pack members. She had gone with the initial layout for the presents but got Blake, Reuben, Liam and her uncle extra special presents. She had even gotten something for her dad and Linda, who Liam had told were busy with their vacation and had no intention of returning for Christmas, which Sky didn't mind at all. Well, you're a heavy shopper, Carla's ear said, and Sky laughed. Yeah, but I avoid it. I hate shopping, she replied, and Carla's ear nodded. They were now unloading the car, moving back and forth. Finally, They were done and collapsed on the sofa, taking deep breaths. Now was the difficult part. Packing the presents. Skye groaned and got to it. Skye spent the next day helping everyone decorating the pack house. Liam had explained everyone was coming for a visit and that they all behaved, but that was of no use, as our uncle couldn't come because of the blizzard and had apologized like 1,000 times for it. Currently, Skye anxiously sat at the dining room table, waiting for everyone to come in. She was more than excited as today was Christmas and after breakfast, everyone was going to open their presents. Skye looked out of the window and saw the massive Christmas tree decorated in the backyard. It was still extremely dark outside, and the only source of light was from the illuminating tree, that had delicate pieces hanging from it. It looked extremely gorgeous. Someone's excited, Liam said as he walked in the living room. His hair was wet from the shower, yet he still looked tired. He had been working so hard. Skye doubted that he even slept because apparently she had been sleeping in his room and he never showed up. Come on. Everyone is supposed to be excited, Skye said, and Liam looked at the empty dining room and then back at Skye. We are, but not enough to wake up but for in the morning, Liam said, and Skye shrugged. I can wait, Skye said, and Liam could sense she was hyperactive and he in no way was going to leave her alone when everyone else was sleeping. Come on. Let's go for a walk, Liam said, and Skye stood up enthusiastically. Liam intertwined his fingers with hers and they both walked out of the back door and into the chilly outside atmosphere. They both stepped down the few steps and began walking on the gravel towards the gigantic Christmas tree, underneath which were many presents already. So what do you think of the pack so far? Liam asked. Oh, everyone is lovely, especially Carla's ear and her mate. They are so nice and look cute together too. And the cooking lady is just marvelous. I chat with her most of the time too, Skye said, and Liam laughed at her encounter with the cooking lady. Well, that's nice to know you're getting along with everyone, Liam said, and both of them stopped in front of the tree. It looks so beautiful, Skye said, and Liam nodded. It's tradition of our pack that in every Christmas each pack member hangs an ornament of their choice on the tree. It's to make it special, Liam said, and Skye nodded, looking at the tree, but then something caught her eyes. What are those ones for? Skye said, pointing to the big transparent balls filled with glitter with something written on them. They were unordinary ornaments. Those are special ornaments made by warlocks. The only member who have found their mates hang it with their signature on it. On Christmas Eve they explode as a well-wish to the couple, Liam said, and Skye nodded, looking at them with curiosity. Then she remembered something. Have you hanged one? She asked, finally turning around, and Liam grinned at her. I was wondering we could do that together, Liam said, and retrieved a similar-looking ball from his back pocket with a Sharpie in the other hand. That's so sweet, Skye said, blushing, and walked towards him, taking the Sharpie from his hands. She signed the ball and then handed the Sharpie to Liam, who signed it. Come on, let's hang it, Skye said, and Liam gave a soft laugh at her excitement. She had gone through hell the past few months, but she ceased to acknowledge that and enjoy her time. It just proved her innocence. Both of them went to the tree and Liam handed her the ball. You're taller than me, I won't be able to reach it, Skye said. I think I have a solution for that, Liam said, and before Skye could acknowledge what was happening, she was in Liam's arms, her feet no longer on the ground as he lifted her up. Skye squealed before she began to laugh with Liam. There's a hook at the right. Hang it on that, Liam said, and Skye did as he said, making sure the ball was secured. Liam placed her back down and even fixed her hair as Skye looked at the ball hanging there. She sneaked a glance at Liam, who had a longing look in his eyes, making Skye blush more. Come on. Since we have time, why don't you open my present? Liam said, and Skye could feel the butterflies in her stomach. You didn't have to. You've done more than enough, Skye began to say, but Liam cut her off. Nonsense, Skye, Liam said, and went underneath the tree to retrieve a beautiful box. It was a big box and wrapped in a pretty wrapping paper with a bow on top. Skye looked at it, then at Liam, who came towards her and handed the box to her. Come on, open it, Liam said, and Skye sat down on the snow, placing the box in front of her, and gently removed the lid to find extremely soft cream-colored cloth with copper beads. Skye recognized it instantly without even unfolding it. "Oh my God," Skye said, awestruck as she looked at the dress, which was worth nearly $9. She looked at Liam, who had a grin on his face. "Good Lord. Liam, you didn't have to get me something so expensive." "Oh God," Skye said, freaking out, and Liam laughed, placing his hands on her shoulder. "Calm down, Skye. This isn't even the present. I just wanted you to wear this tonight at the Christmas party," Liam said, and retrieved a much smaller box. "This is the present," Liam said, and Skye looked at it. Skye looked at it for a while before Liam nudged her and she opened it. Again shocked to find a beautiful diamond-encrusted necklace. It looked so fragile. Skye looked closely and saw that her name was written on it. She looked at Liam and tackled him into a hug. He didn't fall over and grabbed her just in time, laughing. "I see you like my present," Liam asked, and Skye nodded. "Liam? They're great, but you didn't have to waste your money on such expensive gifts. You've done so much for me already. You didn't have to do any of this," Skye said, and Liam shook his head. "Skye, I could get you the moon and still feel like you deserve something much bigger. These things mean nothing to me. Your happiness is practically everything. I've waited for you so long, Skye. And I just want to do you justice as my queen. I really love you, Skye, and I may not be able to give you much, but I can promise you this, that I'll always love you," Liam said, and Skye looked at him. Skye felt butterflies in her stomach as she looked at him. He looked at her longingly and so sincerely. She couldn't torture him like this when even she wanted him. Liam looked at her lips, then back at her. Before he leaned in, "If you don't want me, just tell me and I'll disappear. I'll never bother you again," Liam whispered, only millimeters away from her lips. She could hear Liam's voice cracking at those words, but Skye had already made her decision. "I want you, Liam," Skye said, and filled the space between them. Liam couldn't believe what was happening and fell back in the snow from shock, but in seconds processed the sweet reality by the sensations flowing through his body. He wrapped his arms around Skye, gently kissed her, and he could tell this was her first kiss because she didn't know what to do but slowly began to follow his lead. Liam flipped them over, his hands on either side of Skye's head so he didn't crush her while his mouth was on hers, kissing her gently yet hungrily. After a few more seconds he pulled away so he could let the girl underneath him. Breath. Liam looked at Skye, who was breathing hard. She was already flushed because of the cold, and when her eyes met his, she began to blush profoundly, making her look cuter. "You look so cute when you blush," Liam said, and rolled beside her, his hands on her waist. "You look cute when you smile. You should do that more often," Skye said, and Liam laughed loudly. "Whatever you say, Skye," Liam replied. They both laid there on the snow, covered ground, hugging each other until the sun began to rise. "Come on, let's go, and they should be awake by now." Finally, Skye muttered, and Liam chuckled as they both went inside hand in hand. And as expected, almost everyone was awake. Both of them went straight to the dining room. "Merry Christmas," Skye shouted, and everyone hollered at that. Breakfast went quickly, and now everyone was outside opening presents. Skye looked for Blake and Reuben and saw them wearing matching sweaters, helping the children. "Oh, how cute," Skye said, skipping to them. "Well, actually, Skye, I wanted to tell you that. I love Reuben. He's my mate," Blake confessed nervously. "Tada, Reuben said, and Skye laughed. "Now we can all be a happy-go-lucky family," Skye said, and both of them draped their arms around Skye's shoulder. "Here's your present, Skye," Blake said, and handed her a big box, and so did Reuben, but a much smaller box compared to Blake's. "Thanks to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "No problem. Tell us what you think of it later," Reuben said, and Skye nodded. She was going to open them later. "Liam seems happy. He's even smiling," Reuben said, and looked at Blake with a mischievous grin, which Blake returned. "Yeah, Skye, do you want to tell us about your exciting morning?" Reuben asked, and Skye abruptly stopped and blushed a deep red. "I win," Reuben screamed at Blake's face. "You win what?" Skye asked, still blushing. "I and Blake made a bet that you and Liam kissed, and I knew I was going to win because I saw you guys in the morning, so Reuben said and knit his arms out as Blake cursed and slammed a $20 bill at it. You two are despicable, Skye said jokingly, then grabbed their arms and dragged them to the living room, which was practically empty. Stay here, she said around to Annabella, who was busy devouring an ice cream. Skye grabbed the little girl who squealed and ran back to the living room and handed her to Blake. She then went and looked for Liam. Liam was talking to a lady who was smiling warmly at him. He nodded, then pointed at some direction, and the lady smiled at him again before leaving. Hey, Liam, Skye said, and Liam looked at her grinning. Hey, do you need anything? He asked, and pecked her on the lips, and Skye smiled. No, come with me, she said, and held his hand, leading him to the living room and pushed him on the sofa beside Anna, who was taking deep breaths after Reuben had tickled her. So what now? Liam asked, and Skye smirked at them. Now you guys open my presents, Skye said, and dragged in a trolley which was stacked high with wrapping boxes. Skye, what the hell? We talked about you getting us stuff, Blake said, who had practically begged her not to get them anything. Oh, chef, Skye said before Reuben could back Reuben up or Liam opens his mouth. Skye grabbed an extremely big box which in no way she could have lifted and pushed it towards Anna, who looked at the huge present baffled. Here you go. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. This is for you, Skye said, and Anna squealed and jumped at Skye. Won't you, Skye? I got you something too, Anna said, and from her small Santa Claus backpack took out a wrapped lollipop on which her name was written but in wrong spelling. Thank you so much. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm, Skye said, and kissed the little girl's cheek. Anna went to Liam and asked him to help her open her present. Skye then grabbed 2 extremely small boxes. Here you go, boys, Skye said, and handed them each a box. What's this? Blake asked, and Skye shrugged. Why don't you open it? Skye said, and Reuben opened his box to find a pair of keys. He asked, and Skye smirked. Why don't you go to the garage? You'll find what you're looking for. Skye smirked as the 2 boys raced each other to the garage. Skye heard a squeal from Anna and saw that she finally opened her present, a PW incest doll house. Anna screamed excitedly and hugged Skye's legs. You're welcome. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'll help you build it, Skye said, and Anna squealed again, running off to her friends to tell them about her present. Skye, please tell me you didn't get me anything, Liam said, and Skye smirked. Nonsense, Liam, Skye said, repeating his sentence from hours ago as she went and pushed the trolley containing a box heavy for her to carry. Come on, open it, Skye said, looking at his face, waiting anxiously. Liam unwrapped the box and saw a sort of wooden box with buckles in front. Liam undid the buckles and the box out to reveal different types of equipment, including platinum knuckles, bows, daggers, and all sort of gear one could imagine of. I didn't know what you would like or ever spark your interest, but I've seen you fight and I thought this might be of use to you, Skye said, and Liam grabbed the gear whose tip was made up of extremely sharp metal. He swiped his fingers over it and blood began to come out. If you don't like it, then I can always change it, Skye said, and Liam turned to her and grabbed her hand. This is awesome, Skye. Thank you so much, Liam said, and wrapped his arms around her waist. You really like it? Skye asked, and Liam nodded before leaning down and grabbing her lips in his, giving her a short, passionate kiss, until someone cleared their throat behind her. Both of them looked and found a grinning Reuben. Oh, sorry to interrupt. If you'll excuse me, Reuben said mischievously, and Skye glared at him, and before he could go, she stopped him. Oh, you're not excused. You're going to help me hand out presents, and after we are done, you're going to go to all the other pack members living in other pack houses and their private homes and give them the presents to all before the Christmas Eve party. Reuben looked mortified by it. I'll see you later then, Skye said to Liam, and made her way to Reuben, who looked at Liam pleading. Liam smirked his hands as Skye dragged him. It took for continuous hours to distribute the present to every single member and half an hour extra to double-check if everyone had gotten the presents. Reuben had arrived 2 minutes ago, and was extremely cranky. Skye currently stood in front of full-length mirror, fixing her dress. She was wearing the exact outfit Liam had gotten her, with the same necklace and a pair of glittery flats. The dress reached just above her knees and looked extremely nice on her. After a few seconds, the door opened and Liam walked in. "Wow, you look beautiful." "Thank you. You look nice too," Skye said, examining Liam in his black pants and matching dress shirt. "Come on, or we're going to be late," Liam said as he grabbed Skye's hand, and both of them rushed out to the backyard by the trees just in time to see the huge balls which hung on the trees lift up. They began to levitate in the sky as all of them watched. "I can't wait," Skye muttered as she looked at one ball. In particular, "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Wait for it," Liam whispered, and then all the balls began to accelerate and then they exploded. Everyone was like, "Ooh," as the balls began to explode. Their ball was the last as it went the highest and then exploded. Everyone clapped, and just as the music was about to start, all of a sudden loud screams were heard from the inside the house, gaining everyone's attention. Everyone began to panic as their eyes set on the house and began to rush in to see what had happened. Nothing good lasts forever, right? Chapter 40 to Author's P.O.V. It felt like time had gotten slow as she and Liam made their way through the crowd into the house. The strong metallic smell filled their nose, and instantly Skye recognized it as blood. She could faintly hear Liam saying something about the living room, but her thinking was out of focus. Liam grabbed her arm as he led her. Then she realized she had been previously going in the wrong direction. They entered the living room and Skye's breathing stopped by the sight in front of her. There was a splatter of blood in front of the wall by which was a body. The throat neatly slit open. Fresh blood were oozing out of it. Skye instantly recognized the body. It was the cooking lady. Skye was about to run to the body, but Liam's arm wrapped around her waist, stopping her. She looked at him and saw his eyes fixed on the wall. Skye followed his gaze and saw a message written in blood. "You've availed the liberty of spending your Christmas with peace, but on New Year's Eve, you all will reek of blood, of sweat and of fueled screams, for I will show none of you mercy. Give me what I want and I shall leave, or face the war that approaches thee." Skye stared at the message, her gaze hovering over one specific line. "Give me what I want and I shall leave." What does he even want? Someone from the crowd said, and Skye looked at Liam, who was still looking at the wall, now with rage. Skye turned to the person and smiled sadly at him before tears welled up in her eyes. She replied, and everyone looked at her. "He wants me," she whispered to herself. "Well, he can't have you," Liam said sternly. "We won't let him." She heard Reuben's voice from behind and felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned and looked that it belonged to Blake. Skye shrugged their hands off and moved away from every single one of them. She looked at the crowd in front of her, who looked more than determined to fight for her. "I do not doubt any one of your abilities, but I'll not let you die for me. Give him what he wants and he'll leave you alone," Skye said bravely, although she pretty much knew she was going to kill herself in Carson's presence. "Hell no," Skye heard some people say while some saying, "We can take the motherfucker down." Liam howled loudly and he stomped his way to Skye, before pulling her into a hug. "You're not going anywhere, and if anyone in this pack tried to even think of handling her over, then I'll make sure they die a horrendous death by my hands," Liam said, eyeing the crowd, and everyone nodded. "All down to business. We will fight, and we will win," Liam said loudly, and the crowd of men and women in front of them hollered. "What about crippled adults and children?" Skye asked, looking at him. "They'll be safe. We'll evacuate them," Liam said, and Skye shook her head. "What if," Skye began to say, but Liam cut her off and placed his hand on her mouth. "We'll figure something out," Liam said, and Skye nodded. Liam then looked at the crowd. Skye had never seen a crowd so excited for a war. "We have only a week to prepare. I want everyone on the training ground tomorrow at 4 in the morning. We have to make sure we are prepared to take the bastard down," Liam said, and everyone screamed, "Yes, Alpha," like soldiers. "Go get some rest. It's been a long day," Liam said, and Skye looked at them as they bowed towards them. Soon the living room had gotten empty and only Liam stood there now with her. "Come on, let's go to our room," Liam said and softly took her hand in his and led her straight to the room. Locking it behind them as Sky's mind went to different ways to prevent the war. "Sky, don't try to do anything stupid," Liam said, reading Sky's thought, and she shook her head. "You guys are not understanding what I mean. People die during a war. It may not be you or me, but then it could be our relatives, our friends. I can prevent that. You can't too. You just need to hand me over to him and then everything will be all right. Don't you get it that you're my mate? I'd die, and without an alpha, the pack will fall anyway, so why not die trying, Sky? I won't hand you over to a person who can't even respect you," Liam said bitterly, and Sky could see tears filling his eyes. "I haven't even marked you. If I hand you to him, he'll mark you as his and I won't be able to live with that, Sky," Liam said as a tear fell from his eyes. He gently grabbed her waist and brought her close to him, hugging her, and Sky hugged back. She had never seen him so vulnerable. "Then mark me," Sky whispered, and Liam looked at her in the eyes. "Sky, think through this. What if you don't love me anymore? Then you won't be able to get away from me because of the bond," Liam said, although he wanted to mark her. He had wanted to for so long. "I'll always love you, Liam, and maybe Carson might see that I belong by your side and not his," Sky said, and Liam leaned his forehead on hers. "I love you, Sky," Liam said and kissed her on the lips before he trailed kisses to her neck. "I love you too, Liam," Sky said as she felt him graze his teeth on the spot on her neck. "This might hurt a bit, but I promise you'll be okay," Liam said as hold on her got tighter. "I trust you," she said, and she felt him bite down on her neck. She held in a scream, but that wasn't even the painful part. The real pain began when she felt his teeth extending into her neck. Tears began to smear down her cheeks as she took a deep breath, trying to tolerate the pain. She holds on Liam's shirt tightly, and she sighed in relief as she felt his teeth coming out of her neck. "You're fine," Liam said as he licked the mark on her neck, and Sky moaned, still breathing hard. "Come on, let's tuck you in. Do you want to change into some pajamas?" Liam asked, and Sky faintly nodded as he carried her to the bed. "You stay here and I'll get you some clothes," Liam said, and Sky nodded. Her neck hurts like hell as she dazed between consciousness and unconsciousness. Sky heard footsteps approaching her, and she turned her head towards the source but took a sharp breath because of the pain. "Here you go. Do you want me to help you?" Liam asked very gently, and Sky nodded. There was no way she could have changed into the clothes in this state. Liam gently lifted her and undid the zip of her dress. For some reason, Sky felt completely comfortable with him seeing her in garments. Liam gently stripped her of the dress and quickly but carefully dressed her in one of his oversized shirts. They were huge for her and reached below her knees. He shifted her and tucked her on her side. He smiled when he heard Sky mumble a thank you. "Go to sleep." "Okay, I'll be here when you wake up," Liam said, and saw Sky nodding with that. She was out like lightning. Chapter 43, Office P. O.V. The next few days passed in a blur. People barely slept and skipped meals to prepare for the war on their heads. There was ammo everywhere, with fighting gears and equipment. True to his words, Liam had evacuated every single child and adult who were incapable of fighting to a safety bunker out if the premises. There were times when Sky thought of handing herself over, but then she didn't want to be a coward and go down without a fight. Yes, she was going to be fighting alongside the werewolves. Not literally, but she was going to stay by their sides. Reuben was sent with the children and seniors to protect them in case a mishap did occur, but Blake was here, which made it better. In a few hours, all of them were going to be fighting for their lives. In a few hours they were going to decide their fate. In a few hours it would be New Year. Time had flown so quickly that she couldn't even comprehend what was going on. The only thing she was sure of was staying by Liam's side as he fought, as he ate, as he did anything. They were together and it felt like bliss. Sky looked at herself in the full-length mirror. She was clad in black, her hair tied in a tight bun so they don't fall on her face. She could see the mark on her neck and its glorious smile. No matter what happens today, she going to stay strong and stay by Liam's side in life and in death. She glared at herself, trying to look intimidating as she walked down, patting the dagger in her pocket. one which Liam had forced her to keep with her. Skye looked at the time. It was 1 in the afternoon. Liam was already downstairs reviewing the plan when Skye came. You're going to stay by north, and no matter what happens, don't move your position. Carson will go on full round attack. You two, I want you to at east and west side of the pack. Same goes for you. Don't move from your position, Liam said, pointing one by one to the 3 groups that stood in front of him in a large mass. He then turned to the 4th group. I want you guys to stay as close to the pack as possible, even though I'll make sure they don't get a chance to come near the pack house. But if they do, make sure they don't enter, Liam said, and they nodded. Take your positions, Liam said loudly, and everyone left. Liam exhaled a deep breath and Skye hugged his side. We'll get through this, Skye said, and Liam smiled at her. I know, Liam said, and wrapped his arm around her side. But Skye, I want you to listen very carefully. Carson is going to give all he's got, so just in case I don't make it, just in case, I want you to run as fast as you can. Get away and forget about me. About everything. Live your life and be free, Liam said, and tears filled Skye's eyes. I refuse to run away from a war that my people are fighting for. Lee, I may not be a werewolf, but these people are my people, and no matter what you say, I'll not leave your side. If you live, I live. If you die, I die. Together forever. Liam. In life and death, Skye said. They had worked hard and she was not going to snitch. Liam cupped her face in his hands and connected their lips together. I love you. I love you too. They intertwined their fingers together and made their way outside to the clearing where their pack members were standing aligned as planned. As the roof and balconies surrounding the house were the pack members holding rifles and archery equipment. Liam was going to leading the main fight with 4 of his warriors behind him. No one had shifted yet. It was decided that they were going to use their ammo first and shift when they really needed to. Everyone looked determined, clad in black from head to toe, as they looked at Liam, who marched to the front with Skye. He then faced the crowd of hundreds. Today, my men and women, we are not fighting for each other. No, today we are fighting our own war. For our own selves and our massacred men and women against the beast who murdered our friends, family, and children. We don't need to be strong for. We are the strength we need. Today we decide our fate, we decide the courses of our lives. Today we fight. Fight with everything inside of us. Every single amount of power fuel to this very moment for our friends, family, and most importantly ourselves. Liam said loudly, and everyone hollered, raising their weapons. Skye and Liam looked at the sky as the sun began to set. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Go inside the pack house, Liam said, and Skye stood her ground. We talked about this and you know my answer already, Skye said as she took the dagger from her pocket and positioned it as she was taught. The only reason Liam had agreed to let her on the ground was that they knew Carson won't let anything happen to her. In his sick, twisted way, he wanted his Skye untouched. The sunset completely leaving them in the darkness. It took some time for Skye's sight to adjust now to the faint moonlight as compared to the others who had night vision. I see movement in the forest, someone shouted, and Liam looked at Skye. Stay by my side, Liam muttered, and before Skye could reply, her eyes were caught at a movement in the woods. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm, she said, pointing at it. Suddenly there was a loud screech and voices can be heard of twigs breaking, leaves being stepped over. They were here. Everyone got ready to attack as they looked at the pale figures approaching from out of the forest. There were so many of them. Were they maybe 500? Or 6 perhaps? All looking vicious. They continued to march towards them, eyeing them hungrily, and came to halt. Liam, a familiar voice said, walking out of the mob of pale figures. Carson, Liam replied back. I see you came with the prize, Carson said, looking at Skye hungrily, admiring her from head to toe. Oh, she's no prize. She's mine, Liam said, and removed Skye's scarf a bit so that Carson could see the mark on her neck. Carson's features changed to rage as he glared at Liam before he maniacally began laughing. You're mistaken. She's fine and I'll fix that little mark of yours when I have her, Carson said and turned to his crowd. He made a loud sound, like a whale, and clapped his hands together. The vampires wailed loudly and ran towards them. Attack! Liam screamed loudly. As soon as those words left his mouth, all hell broke loose on either side. Shits could be heard from above them, and arrows were fired carefully at the vampires as both of the parties ran towards each other and collided, attacking each other with claws, weapons, and teeth. Screams, blood, and clank of weapons could be heard and seen as far as the eyes could see. Skye. She heard Liam scream as someone tackled her to the ground, not hurting her but manhandling her. Skye took the dagger and was about to stab him, but his head was ripped off his neck in seconds with Liam towering over her. Use the daggers, he said, and Skye nodded, flinging the dagger as another vampire lunged at her. She noticed they weren't trying to kill her but knock her out. The vampire fell, and with another swift movement Skye slit its throat, its blood staining the ground as well as her. It shocked her how easily she did it. She didn't want but lives depend on it. She quickly got up and looked around. There was blood everywhere. In minutes they had managed to litter the ground with bodies. Everything was chaos. Skye swiped her dagger across another body, hurling her way, as she saw Blake ripping a vampire's head off. Her eyes then landed on a body in the ground and recognized it at once as Carla's ears. Skye let out a cry as she tried to move towards her but was tackled to the ground by a vampire. He fisted his knuckle and aimed for her head, but Skye moved, and he hit her jaw. She cried out in pain and stabbed him in the chest and shifted him off her. She grabbed the dagger and swiped it across his neck, but before she could get up, someone grabbed her ankle and began dragging her by her feet. It was another vampire, but then someone came to her aid and tackled the vampire away from her. Skye searched for Liam through the blood and saw that he was following someone into the woods, killing the vampires in his path in quick, swift motions. She recognized that someone very quickly. Carson. Skye kept her eyes fixed on him as she moved to him. Skye. She heard a scream from behind her and saw Blake pointing ahead of her. She turned her head in time to a guy running towards her. Skye ducked in time and he went flying forward, giving enough time to Skye to grab the dagger and aim it right at his neck. She threw it at him and hit his neck at the right spot, watching as he fell to the ground. She looked for Liam and saw a shadow in the woods. Without a second thought, she rushed towards it. Blake wanted to stop her, but he was too busy fighting 3 vampires. Liam walked briskly in the forest looking for Carson, who had disappeared. He knew Carson too well to search for him in the battlefield. That bastard never fought his own wars. You going to keep running like that, coward? Liam shouted as he reached the clearing. Who said I was running? Carson said, and appeared from smoke in the clearing. Who said you weren't? Liam said, and Carson laughed wholeheartedly. I'll give you a chance, Carson. Stop the war and leave, and I just might feel generous to let you live. Liam said, and Carson laughed. Or I can claim what's mine and eliminate you and your pack. Carson said. So be it. Liam replied and lunged at him, tackling him to the ground, throwing punch after punch at him. Carson growled and threw Liam off him. Liam went flying in the air and his back hit the tree, but before he could get up, Carson was choking him. See, Liam, you stand no match for me, Carson said, and put more pressure on his neck, and Liam grabbed his arms in a vice-like grip. A crack was heard, but Carson's hold did not loosen. Suddenly Liam felt the air in his lungs as Carson was pushed off of him. Liam looked who had tackled Carson and found Skye. Oh, look who chose to join the party. I must say you have one hard body. Knocked me down. I like it, he said. Liam growled. He could not waste any more time. Skye, get out of here. Liam screamed as he shifted into his wolf, but Skye didn't move. I'm staying with you no matter what, she said sternly, eyeing Carson with disgust. IWWW, so the mark is wrong. You'll be calling my name all day, darling, after I remove that mark from you, Carson said, and as Skye glared. Leave me alone. We'll talk about this sudden courage when we get back home, Carson said, and Liam lunged at him, not taking his nonsense anymore. Carson grabbed Liam by the neck and threw him, but Liam was up in a matter of seconds and bit Carson's shoulder. Skye looked for her dagger but remembered she never took out of the body of that vampire. She cursed herself and looked for something. She heard a loud howl and saw that Carson had twisted Liam's paw and a crack was heard. Carson laughed and plunged his nails in Liam. "Get the hell away from him." Skye screamed and grabbed a rock, chucking it at Carson's face. Carson growled and glared at Skye, who threw more rocks at him. Liam took Carson's distraction and bit his neck, but before he could rip it, Carson vanished to smoke. Skye grabbed a piece of wood lying on the ground. One end of whose was sharp and staggered towards Liam. "Where is he?" she asked, and Liam looked around. "Here I am." She heard a voice behind her, and before she could say anything she was hurled by her neck across the clearing. Her neck was bleeding from where Carson's nails had grasped her, and her breathing was hard as looked at Liam, who was fighting Carson, but he was too fast. Skye looked at the stick in her hands, then got an idea. "Please stop. I'll go with you," she screamed, and both the guys stopped looking at her. Liam looked at her, and Skye looked straight into his eyes. Her eyes moving to Carson's neck, then to Liam, praying he understands her, but she just had to gamble. "What did you just say?" Carson asked, and Skye sighed. "I'll go with you. I can't help what I feel about you," Skye said as she walked towards Carson. She heard Liam growl, but she gave him a sloppy wink which Liam understood. "And what do you feel for me?" Carson questioned. Skye gave him a smile and wrapped her arms around his neck, bringing his mouth close to hers. "A lot of things," she whispered seductively, and she could tell she had his full attention. "What kind of things?" Carson asked as he slid his hands inside Skye's shirt, causing her to stiffen and Skye up behind him to see Liam sneaking on him, and just when Liam was close enough, with all her power she pushed Carson to the ground, and Liam plunged his nails into his chest. What?" Carson said in pain, wide-eyed. "Your death," Skye replied coldly, and with that Liam dragged his nails across Carson's chest. He let out a blood-curdling scream filled with threats until his stomach, along with his eyes, laid wide open on the ground. Epilogue offers P. "Oh, what?" Carson said in pain, wide-eyed. "Your death," Skye replied coldly, and with that Liam dragged his nails across Carson's chest. He let out a blood-curdling scream filled with threats until his stomach, along with his eyes, laid wide open on the ground. Skye fell to the ground beside Liam's wolf, bleeding hard. "We did it," Skye whispered as she watched Liam, who nodded before she heard bone cracking, and he shifted back to human from laying completely naked beside her. Skye blushed, but her eyes didn't travel anywhere. They weren't supposed to. "Yeah, we did." Liam muttered, his voice raspy and drowsy as if he was going to go. Unconscious. Skye quickly turned her head towards him and saw his busted lips and blood-covered long gashes on his stomach. She could practically see his bone peeking. No, Skye said, quickly looking at his torso. Blood was gushing out of it. She placed her hands over it, but the wound was too big. She quickly took off her jacket and placed it over man parts. "Liam, stay awake for me, okay? You're going to be fine." Liam was shaking, and Skye couldn't understand why that was, because of the cold or pain, but still. She decided to take off her shirt and cover him with it, leaving her in her spaghetti-strap garment. "Somebody help. Please," she screamed as she looked at Liam, who was smiling at her. "You did great, babe," Liam said, and tears fell from Skye's eyes. "Please just try to stay awake," she said as she got up when she heard the rustling of leaves and saw a bloody Blake limping towards her. "The hell?" he said, looking at Liam, then at Skye, then to Carson's body on the ground. "Are the vampires gone?" Liam asked as Blake took off his shirt while mind-linking for the members. "We can talk about that later. Right now we need to stop the bleeding until the others come," Blake said. He was breathing hard and there was dried blood over him. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Vampires. Gone." Liam asked again, more sternly, and Blake nodded. "Dead. Every single one of them. They had bound themselves to Carson. So when you killed him, they all died," Blake said, breathing hard. Footsteps were heard behind them, and Skye turned around to see 3 more members walking towards them. They looked at her and nodded before lifting Liam up, and Skye could see relief in their eyes. Skye followed them as they carried Liam out of the forest, no one saying anything. Just silence, a peaceful one too. And for once everything felt right. As if it was going to be okay. Skye stood in front of the clearing as they helped the injured and collected bodies of their warriors. already preparing for the funerals. They had tranquilized Liam because Carson's nails had a sort of poison, but the doctors had assured her that he was going to be okay. A slow recovery, but still okay. She could hear people weeping and mourning the loss of their friends and family. Silent tears rolled down Sky's as she looked at the blood-stained clearing in front of her. They had won the war, but they had lost many lives. Among those who sacrificed their lives was also David, who was attacked by a group of vampires while securing the pack house. He died a warrior protecting his people. But that was the thing about wars. People die and you have to live with it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You can do nothing for the dead, however it all come down with what you achieve. Well, those lives worth it. In their case, yes, they fulfilled their purpose. They weren't a waste. Today they had achieved something much greater than the life lost. They had achieved their freedom, their future, and not only that, she had achieved an eternity with her love. Her mate, her Liam. They had scars to prove their battle and a story for the generations yet to come, but today they had marked a new beginning. As the sun illuminated the sky on a new day of a new year, the end surprise offers P.O.V. imprint throughout the forest, his heart beating as if he ran 1,000 marathons. He was supposed to surprise Sky with a special dinner for their 5th-year anniversary. Sky came. Liam repeated her name in his mind with a smile of adoration. As he looked at his phone, he caught a glimpse of Sky's picture, which he had saved as the wallpaper. That's my wife. He chuckled to himself, not noticing how people were staring at him weirdly. Liam ran for life as he lost track of time. He was definitely going to be grilled by Sky for being late. However, he decided on blaming Blake for his lateness. He knew the beta wouldn't mind. Probably. Mommy, look at us, Aden said with a big grin. He raised his little paint-covered hands into the air, bringing them back down onto the table. His handprints were then stamped onto the marble table, and Sky felt as if she was going to faint. Amaya, his sister, did the same thing, giggling with delight. Amaya, Aden, she sighed tiredly, taking her fingers through her blonde hair. The two were only 4, yet they were causing trouble. Please, Daddy's going to be home soon. We don't want him coming home to a mess, do we? Amaya shrugged, her blue eyes deep in thought. I don't know, she hummed, twirling a strand of black hair with her little finger. Sometimes Daddy is stupid. Aden agreed, his green eyes widening. Sometimes he mixes up my clothes with Amaya's. He almost put me in a dress. Sky sighed. Daddy isn't perfect. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Anyways, let's put the paint away and start cleaning. Okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The twins shouted in a union, beginning to do as they were told. Sky exhaled deeply and gazed at a clock. It was 7:30 p.m., which was way past dinner. She was looking forward to Liam cooking for her on their anniversary. She assumed that he got caught up in work again, which made her heart hurt. She was guilty of being consumed with work too. However, she never abandoned Liam on a special day. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Aden called to her, tugging softly at her hand. We finished putting away paint. Are you going to help us clean? Yeah. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Sky smiled at him, ruffling his hair. She grabbed some wet rags and handed them to the twins. She watched in amusement as they scrubbed down the table. 20 minutes later, they were finished and tired. Sky frowned when she realized Liam was still gone, since she realized her husband wasn't going to be home anytime soon. She made some dinner for the twins. 2 simple sandwiches were enough to fill the toddlers up. Then, she put them to bed since they had to sleep at 8 p.m. due to Liam not coming home early as promised on their anniversary. Skye found herself laying on the couch as she flickered through movies on TV. She heard the door open, but she simply kept her blue eyes glued to the TV screen. "Skye," Liam's familiar voice sounded out of breath. "I'm sorry that I'm late. I got caught up in the packed meeting." He paused when he realized Skye wasn't even listening to him. She kept her cold gaze directed onto the screen in front of her. "Skye," he repeated, tapping her shoulder. He sighed when she didn't respond. Instead of comforting her, he brought up the plastic bag full of groceries so she could see them. "I can make dinner for the kids and us now. Happy 5th anniversary." "You dear," Skye said. "The kids are sleeping. It's 8:15. For heaven's sake. You don't like my cooking?" Liam asked. Skye rolled her eyes, turning the television off. "I'm saying that it's too late for the kids to eat. You know their bedtime is at 8 p.m. And you promised you'd be early for our anniversary." "I know, I'm sorry," Liam said. "I told you that I was busy in pack meeting and stuff." "Right. I know," Skye admitted, pouting a bit. "I just get sad. You know, I am really overreacting." Liam set the groceries down and kneeled down in front of Skye. It almost reminded her of the time he proposed to her in front of all pack members. He grabbed both her hands in his warm ones and looked up at her with glimmering emerald green eyes as if she was some kind of shooting star. "Skye," he said, smiling up at her, "I'm glad that we've been married for 5 whole years now, and we also have 2 beautiful kids. To my agent extraordinaire, Marlene Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. They look like me, so that's why they're beautiful. Way to ruin the moment," sighed Skye, but she couldn't help the grin on her face. "Well, they have cane hair and eyes," Liam continued, squeezing her hands a bit tighter. "But Amaya has your cute button nose, and Aiden has your delicate soft lips and your smile. They both have your lovely dancing skills." Skye giggled. Liam chuckled. "They are for years old." "Dear, how can you tell already?" Skye clicked her tongue. "I just know. You can call it a mother's special senses." Liam stood up, making Skye's end up along him. He bent down to her height, placing a soft yet passionate kiss onto her lips. She returned the kiss, wrapping her arms around his neck to pull him down further. The two were so in love with each other, and even though Skye wanted to be mad at him, she couldn't. "I love you," Liam said as soon as he pulled away. "I love you too. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.